So a continuous integration and continuous delivery pipeline, also known as a CI/CD pipeline, it's pretty amazing. And when we deploy configuration using CI/CD, everything is automated from end to end. Let's go see what it looks like. All right, so we're in the lab and I'm first gonna update my code, and we're gonna use Ansible for configuration management. And I'm gonna change the OSPF router ID for one of our routers. And to do that, I'm gonna open up one of the router's Ansible variable files. And I want to open up the main.yaml file. That's going to have some of my configuration in there. And here I'm going to change the router ID from all 5s to 3 zeros. So it's going to be 0.0.0.5. I'm then going to save the file. And so we're using git for version control. So if I run the git status command, we can see the main.yaml file change. Next, I'm going to stage that file by using the git add command. Now I'm going to commit the changes to my local repo by using the git commit command. And I'm going to create a message. I'm just going to say update main.yaml file for router 5. All right, everything's been stored on my local git repo. And the next step is an important step, like a really important step. What I'm going to do is run the git push command, and that's going to push my changes to the Gitlab repo. And that's like pressing a big red button. Once I do this, this whole CI/CD process kicks off. What's going to happen is Gitlab, my remote repo, is going to send a webhook message to Jenkins. That's my CI/CD automation server. And Jenkins is going to automate the entire CI/CD process for me. So I'm going to run the git push command to push my changes to Gitlab. All right, there we go. We pushed our changes. Now the CI/CD process in Jenkins should start. So let's go to Jenkins. All right, here's my pipeline. Oh, we can see it just starting right now. Everything in this horizontal line represents different stages in my CI/CD pipeline. At the top are the different stages that we're going to go through, and we're going to go through these different stages sequentially from left to right. This first stage is the prepare workspace stage. Let's look at the logs. And in the prepare workspace stage, we're going to clone that remote repo that I just pushed my changes to. We're going to clone it to a dedicated Jenkins server, which is actually called a Jenkins agent. And this is really important, right? This is going to allow my Jenkins agent to access the code. So it can now access my playbooks and my variable files. Let's close this. Let's now look at the logs for the build stage. And in this stage, we're going to build our developers environment. So we're going to make sure we have all the dependencies, everything we need installed to run our playbooks on our Jenkins agent. Next, let's view the logs of the testing stage. And here we comprehensively test our Ansible code. So we're going to lint our playbooks to make sure they're valid playbooks, that they don't have any errors. And then we're also going to run our playbooks in something called check mode. And check mode is kind of like dry running our playbook. But again, we're running all these tests to make sure our code is ready to go. Next, we're going to move on to the pre-change snapshot and testing stage. And here we're going to use a tool called PyATS to do a bunch of tests on our network to make sure it's operating as expected. So we're going to test things like interfaces, OSPF. We're going to test anything and everything. We want to make sure our network is operating as expected before we push out a configuration change. Next is the deploy stage, and notice when I hover over the deploy stage, it's kind of paused in the middle and it prompts me and it says all tests successful, proceed with deployment. So all my tests were successful in the previous stages. I'm going to go ahead and proceed. Okay, so right now our playbook is actually going to get executed against the network, and our router ID should change for our router. Next, we're going to move on to the post-change snapshot and testing stage. And we're going to use PyATS again. We're going to do a bunch of tests again on our network. So again, we're going to test things like interfaces and OSPF. We want to make sure it's operating as expected after our configuration change. And the final stage is post actions. This is where we delete everything off our Jenkins agent that was used in our CI/CD pipeline. So remember how we cloned the remote repo on the Jenkins agent and we installed a bunch of dependencies to run our playbooks? All that stuff is going to get deleted in the post action stage. And that's it, man. Our CI/CD pipeline is completed. So let's go look at our router, and I'm going to do show run. And there we go. Notice our router ID changed to 0005. Now, here's one of my favorite things about CI/CD is once you get used to it, it becomes familiar and you can make frequent small configuration changes to your network. All you do is update a little code, you then push it to your remote repo, and then boom, all the automation automatically happens for you. Assuming all your stages complete, all you have to do is hit proceed to deploy the configuration to the network. and everything gets comprehensively tested. So double thumbs up for CI/CD. Now, this is a demo from a lab in one of our Cisco automation courses. If you're interested in signing up for our automation courses, I'll include the links in either the original post or in the show notes. That's all I got. I hope this was useful. I appreciate you.